What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Wrestling Junkies podcast. I'm Eric, Mr. Cincinnati Robinson. As always, I'm joined by the podcast dad himself, Chris Hoops. Choops, how we doing, buddy?
I am so excited, not for wrestling purposes, but for baseball purposes, as it returns tomorrow. However, already announced, the Phillies have been postponed, so,
How unfortunate.
don't get to watch them on opening day, so I guess I'll stick to the booty ass Reds.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a baseball guy, so I'm not able to say one way or the other how I feel like we're going to do this year, but I'll see your PBR and Razy and make Ultra.
Well, it's a Cincinnati
Anyway,
team, so you know how it's going to
yeah,
go.
I know. Okay. Anyway, guys, welcome to the Wrestling Junkies podcast. As always, hit that QR code in the top left corner. Like, share, subscribe, help us to run those numbers. We've got a great show for you tonight. We are joined by Jack of WrestleRave. They have a show coming up this weekend in Houston, Texas. Jack of all trades. We're going to go ahead and bring Jack in the room real quick, get our introductions, and then get into our show. Jack, how you doing, man?
Good. How are y'all?
Not too bad, not too bad. Appreciate you joining us tonight. Glad you can make it in.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. So as we just said, WrestleRave is hosting their Jack of All Trades event this weekend. We are actually partial sponsor of that show, so we're certainly glad to have you joining us tonight. Before we get into Jack of All Trades, just a couple of things we want to touch on when it comes to NXT, and quite frankly, it's really only one. The hype video for Trick versus Melo, kind of the major plot point to break up the show throughout the night, and this was perfection. I'm very happy with how this was produced. It was very personal. We got to see a little bit of the background, especially for Trick Williams. They're really hyping him up as that babyface. Podcast Dad, I want to start with you and just get your take on what we saw last night out of this production.
Yeah, I love the fact that they broke it into like three parts. I thought that was really cool, how it just kind of kept going throughout the night. I thought that was really cool production. But it's funny because, again, we're going into WrestleMania weekend, and none of the world titles feel like they're very important. It's all these side stories. Trick and Mello is definitely going to be the main event of Stand and Deliver, and if it's not, it really, really should be. I could see them continuing this feud. I know there's been rumors about that, continuing on the main roster. I don't know how quickly Trick will follow to the main roster, but yeah, I mean, these video packages were fantastic. The whole story about Trick and his Philly background was awesome. Like just learning about that. Like these kind of felt like when UFC does some of their video packages.
Yeah.
Like I can't remember what it's Embedded, I think is what it was. And you kind of got a behind the scenes look. Like I thought that was really, really cool, and just something that we typically don't see from wrestlers all the time. So it was a different presentation, and a much like not a much needed, but like a fresh way to look at this big main event.
Yeah, for sure. Jack, we'll turn it over to you. First things first, before we have you chime in on the world of NXT, we like to ask all of our guests this on the show. Tell us about kind of your earliest memories of pro wrestling and how you got into enjoying the business.
So my earliest memory. So immediately, I think there was never a point where I wasn't a wrestling fan. So my older brother, who I run WrestleRave with, as far as I can remember back, I remember just talking about wrestling with him. And I started on WWE like most people. Grew up with that until I was about 12, 13. I kind of wanted to expand what I was watching. I saw TNA was on TV. It was accessible for me at the time as a kid. And I started watching that, and that really opened my eyes to a broader scale of wrestling and what other wrestling was out there. And I just fell in love with it, especially seeing guys in WWE even at that time, like CM Punk and several others that had great careers prior to the WWE. I just gained an appreciation for that.
Oh, yeah. Love that. Who were some of your favorites growing up?
Some of my I liked. I got into wrestling liking all the bad guys. So Edge, when he was taking it to John Cena. As a 5-year-old, me loved it. No idea why. But yeah, I always liked the heels and just whoever was causing the most chaos. Eventually, I became more infatuated with the moves and stuff like that. So it's been a long journey as a fan. And nowadays, it's I view it completely differently than I used to.
Awesome. Very nice. Just one second here. I'm just making sure I got all my notes up here. But yeah, so tell us a little bit about the origin of WrestleRave and how New Brother came to start it.
Yeah, so we always talked about running a wrestling show together, and it was always it seemed like it would just be a dream. We didn't know how to enter that field in the slightest, but eventually this arena popped up in Houston, Texas, called Houston Premier Arena, and it just became a hotbed for pro wrestling promotions, and especially if you're looking to get into the business, whether you're a worker or a promoter or just wanting to get a shot. Houston Premier Arena provided that for a lot of people, and we're much of the same, where we saw an opportunity to enter the business as promoters. And ever since then, I mean, we've run, I believe this will be our 19th show this Saturday. And it's just something that we had a lot of passion for. We ended up trying it, and we've just had the ball rolling since then.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
So for fans out there, when they go to a WrestleRave show, what is it that we should expect to see? What stands out from you guys from everything else?
That's a great question. When we first started WrestleRave, I think that was one of the biggest struggles, was finding what would help us stand out, especially using a venue that is shared by several other promotions and in a competitive area like Texas. I think ultimately, running so infrequently, you can't necessarily rely on the stories as much. I feel like we've separated ourselves just from the talent that we book alone. It's been a long journey to discover this talent, of course. But there's so many people in and outside the area, and we try to get as many talented people as we can. And I know that sounds cliche, but we do hold a high standard of who gets on our shows and who gets to showcase their abilities.
Awesome. So you mentioned, working at a venue where other companies put on shows. How difficult logistically can that be sometimes?
Oh, it can be very difficult. And as you were saying before, standing out is super important. You've got a weekly lucha show every Sunday, Coliseo Houston, and that's a different audience, and they do very well every week. Those aren't the same people that come to our shows. We'd love for it to be the same people. It's not the same people. And that's good and bad, that you can form your own audience while also having these other crowds that like similar shows or similar things in wrestling. You are able to market to them easily. But as it becomes more competitive, that people only have so much money to spend. And, if they can't make it to your show, that's completely understandable.
So you you just mentioned kind of lack of crossover between fans and promotions. Do you see that a lot? Do you see the same fans showing up, your regulars, quote unquote, and then do you see any of that crossover at all?
There's certainly some. I think for us as a newer promotion, we have benefited from the existing fan bases of several promotions in the area. I'll shout out New Texas Pro Wrestling, one of the best run independent promotions out there. And we're lucky to be running within the same circles as them, including being shown to their passionate fan base. And, with exposure like that, it can be very helpful, they're an established, recognized name, and we're still trying to get, established in this industry. So
Yeah. Let's go back to WrestleRave now and kind of give me one or two of your favorite moments that's happened so far.
oh, that's a good question. I think about it fairly often, but always struggle to find one answer that satisfies me. Um, the kid in me really loves the fact that we've been able to bring in some stars of yesterday, if you will.
Hmm.
Charlie Haas is someone that I grew up watching. A lot of people grew up watching, and just to think, like 4-year-old me telling him, you're going to be working with this man in some capacity it's crazy to think about. And going back to that experience, just to add on to it, I remember the day that Charlie Haas arrived at our venue for the first time, and I see him in the car, and he's in the passenger seat, and I'm like, okay, you got a ride, that's awesome. It's kind of a tough parking area, so cool, you got a ride. Then I see the driver, and he looks awfully familiar. It's none other than his tag team partner, Shelton Benjamin, who's just driving him to the venue while he's in the WWE, and I'm meeting both for the first time. I'm shaking pretty much, just shaking their hand. And yeah, it's just stuff like that that makes you realize wrestling, it's a huge world, but at the same rate, it's so small, to the point where Shelton Benjamin may be showing up to the warehouse that you're running. You never know.
Yeah.
We've had Thunder Rosa
Nice.
as a guest as well during her AEW women's title run. She came to support her son Anakin Rosa at our show. So you really never know who's going to show up, and I think that's the most fun part, is all the people you meet along the way.
Awesome.
Very cool. Very cool. I had no idea that Thunder Rosa had a son who also wrestled, so that's cool.
Neither
Learned
did
something
I.
there.
Yeah, he hasn't
So,
had too many matches. We were thrilled to have it.
No, I would be too. I would be too. I mean, especially given the pedigree. I mean, you have to think that some of that is picked up by osmosis. So that's really really cool. But yeah, let's talk about this weekend. Jack of all trades. This is at the Houston Premier Arena. Sorry, I got to cover your face here for a second, Jack. But I figured you'd rather have the flyer up. So tell us a little bit about this card. Let's break down some of these matches here. The first one that you guys have been promoting quite a bit, Vinny Pacifico taking on King Arsenal. For those that are not familiar with either of these guys, give us a little backstory on how we got here.
Yeah, Vinny Pacifico, he's going to be making his WrestleRave debut, and it probably won't be the last time we see him. He's a guy that's been making his rounds all across the nation, even internationally. He's got a lot of character. I think he's going to make some fans on Saturday. He's just eager to perform. He's eager to get out there, and in his way is King Arsenal, who is another loud personality. And I think we're going to see two loud voices going at it on Saturday, and I think it's going to end up in a fun match.
Okay. I like it. Next up, we've also got Joel Bateman taking on Dmitry Alexandrov. Tell us a little bit about this one.
Yeah, Dmitry, he's been the deathmatch king in WrestleRave, and you could argue for the Mid-South and Texas area for years. We've got an international challenger, Joel Bateman. He's from Australia. We love bringing in challengers from not only outside of Texas, but outside the country. We do everything we can to make this a world title, if you will. That applies to our WrestleRave Championship and the Deathmatch Championship. We like to go outside the box and give you something that you won't be able to see at every other indie. And Joel Bateman's going to help bring us that, and he's super excited. He's keeping in contact with us all the time, all the way from Australia. So he gets in tomorrow, I believe, and he can't wait. I can't wait. Should be a crazy match. That will be the main event this Saturday, so should be crazy.
Nice. So
Yeah,
go ahead.
He looks terrifying. I will say that. Just from the picture alone, I'm like, I don't want to step into the ring with him.
Yeah,
no,
he's a
definitely not.
crazy one. He'll do just about anything. So
I like it. I like it. So this match got my attention when we first talked sponsorship. So we got Street Fight coming up. Lowrider and Heidi Howitzer. If you're not familiar with Heidi's work, she is amazing. Definitely go check some out. So this is one that I'm very very curious to see.
yeah, and this kind of just came up in the past few days, maybe a week or two, uh, with Heidi Howitzer and Lowrider. Those guys are they're always game to do whatever you ask them. They're down to fight, and it made sense naturally for those two to meet in the ring and just give us something that we haven't seen before. It's I think those are two people that will leave it on all on the line, and it's one of those matches that makes you kind of turn your head and you're like, how's this one gonna go? You know?
Yeah, yeah. So this one also, I'm just curious, just because I'm not sure what to expect here. It looks like the TCS Championship is on the line. Is this a gauntlet match that we're gonna see, or tell us a little bit about what's going on with this one?
So Just Nick, he has agreed to defend his New Texas Pro Wrestling Texas Contender Series Championship in an open invitational scramble. So,
Okay.
Just Nick's going to come to the ring and he's going to lay down the challenge, and whoever comes out to step up for that opportunity, he's down the face, and hopefully for his sake, he walks out with his title. It's a brave move.
It's a very, very bold move. I'll say that.
Yeah, no, excuse me, no kidding, no kidding. So what else do we have on this card? Any other notable appearances, opponents? What can everybody expect this weekend?
Yeah, keeping in the theme of the mystery, Max Castellanos, our WrestleRave champion, he will be issuing a Joker's Wild Open Challenge. That will be granting another opportunity, this time at the Big Belt, the WrestleRave Championship. Max Castellanos has a chip on his shoulder. He's a confident guy, and I don't think he's too worried no matter who answers that challenge. Additionally, we will have the Dream Team in the house alongside King Arsenal and Haley Danielle. We've got Epidemius Jr. and Law Estrella. That one's an international matchup for all of our Lucha Libre fans out there. I'm really excited for it. I think those guys are bringing something to the table that no one else can. And one of those guys, if not both, will end up being breakout stars for this promotion. And whoever gets that win, keep your eyes on it. That's a big match in terms of rankings. Additionally, we've got some more Lucha Libre stars in action. Expect to see them possibly in that scramble, possibly in the world title match. We've got just a night of fun. 8 matches. We like to keep the pace going, quick, high energy. We don't like to waste too much time. So come on out and have a good time watching some wrestling.
Awesome. So for those that are in the Houston area, where can they get tickets?
Yeah, so you can get tickets at ticketleap.com. We also have all this information on our socials at WrestleRave. You can get front row tickets. There are still some front row tickets available. If not, general admission is still available. And then tickets for our next show, Death Triad, just went on sale as well. So that will be in May. And if you'd like a full package for those, you can get that as well.
Awesome. Well, Jack, it was awesome to have you on. Thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck this weekend. Is this going to be available streaming or on YouTube at a later date?
Yeah, so following the show, it'll be available. The full show will be available to IWTV subscribers within a week or two. As with full matches on the YouTube, we like to upload our whole library to YouTube and make it as accessible and user-friendly as possible. So, yeah, keep your eyes out. Subscribe to us on YouTube if you're looking for updates on this show. And, just keep your eyes open.
Awesome. Where can everybody find you on Twitter and Facebook and all that good stuff?
Yeah, it'll be WrestleRave HTX on Twitter and Facebook, just WrestleRave on Instagram, and you can find our YouTube that way as well.
Awesome.
So before we wrap things up, we have one final question for you. We ask every guest this question. You're no different. So when you hear the moniker Mr. WrestleMania, is it Shawn Michaels or is it The Undertaker?
Well, admittedly, you said it. I thought of Shawn. And I was never a Shawn guy growing up or anything like that, but come on.
Okay.
Look at the resume.
See, what have I been saying?
That's fine. I mean, Taker's 2-0, but that's fine.
2-0? Okay.
There you go.
Against Mr. WrestleMania, yes. I mean, technically.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, who? You know what? Okay, this is a debate for another time. Maybe that's part of our WrestleMania week activities. Yeah, which we also just posted to our socials. We've got some great stuff coming up from WrestleMania week. We've got some mashups. Yeah, dude, it's gonna be a fun one though. So make sure to drink your coffee, eat your Wheaties. We're gonna have some fun. Jack, thank you so much again for joining us. Best of luck this weekend, and thank you guys so much for watching along with us tonight. We will be back tomorrow at 6:30. We're going to talk a little bit more NXT. We're going to talk some AEW Dynamite and just keep marching towards WrestleMania. So hit that QR code, like, share, subscribe, and if you know one person that would enjoy this show, send it to them and let them see for themselves. So, yeah, we'll be back tomorrow night. Thank you guys so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys.